say? Well, on YouTube, I basically said to you guys that I see for the remainder of the week things go up. Great. So what happened? It did go up. It went up and now it did this. So we need to unpack that today. I also gave you guys Bitcoin Cash. Excuse me for the bad visibility there. I taught you how to read these wicks. So if you want to know, make sure you go and watch Tuesday's video. And if we look at those wicks and we hit the play button, see what happened in my absence, we went to that wick beautifully. But now, where we are now, you can see there's some downwards pressure. Do we need to worry about that? Okay, I want to talk to you guys about that as well today. Alt season, what's happening in with the alt seasons? Is there really going to be an alt season? Because where we're at now, things aren't looking as I would want them to be. Hence the argument, buy that dip, the same old bullshit again. So some of these coins are moving into these areas that I marked out for you guys, like Matty. So we've got a whole list of alts we need to work through today to try and unpack that. So basically, it means that people don't want to hold on to their dollars anymore. They're not scared. They're going to buy shit. And that shit's potentially going to be Bitcoin and altcoins. And that is what the Dixie basically points out for us. If the Dixie keeps on going down, that's really good for Bitcoin, it's really good for altcoins, and really good for stock markets as well. So if we have a look at this, you can see that this Dow Jones, there's no stopping this thing. It's just gapping up to the upside. S&P 500, same thing, just gapping to the upside. The momentum is still there. And remember, guys, these are the squibbles from the last time we spoke about this. So ultimately, that's the way that you can keep track record of what was said and how we go about this. So for anybody that is new, make sure to send me a comment. Let me know that you're new so I can say hi to you. And for the rest of you guys, just tell me where you're tuning in from. Let me do a quick shout out. Let's quickly take a deep breath and say, okay, let's say we don't know anything in the sense of we're trying to delete what the background information is and try and take the new information for what they're showing and face value to try and not get misguided, because fear and greed sentiments, these type of things can influence the way we look at stuff. It can influence the way we feel about stuff as well. And remember, there's a lot of material out there basically saying that your perception creates your reality. So if you want to be bullish, you're going to see bullish everywhere. If you want to be bearish, you're going to see bearish everywhere. So the idea with this exercise that I want to do with you guys is just to say that I don't want to see bullish or bearish. I just want to look at the candles and then see if I can get a fresh new look on things. Okay, so let's take away the RSI. Let's look at the candle real quick. Now, for me, the big thing is, irrespective now of the big pullback or the buy the dip or anything like that, what do I know from a trader momentum point of view? And this is this. I know this to be true. The candle that makes the higher high, 50% is the buy. It's a simple rule. Peter, you can maybe bring it up and let it scroll at the bottom of the screen there. That's a simple rule. You take the move, the candle that basically engulfs the last bearish structure, and the part that makes the higher high. So I'm including both these candles purely because if I were to zoom in there, you can see there's not a lot of wick there. So for me, it's kind of almost part of one move. Yeah. Now, if I take the same strategy in the same rule book and I say this, the candle that makes the higher high, that's the buy. In this instance was one candle. That's the buy. That's how we got these entries for you guys. So let's take that same approach. Forget about everything else and say, okay, right, what do we have? We've got a very flat candle there. So we can consider that as part of one move. And there's the higher high. So let's move it in there. Candle that makes the higher high, that's the buy. So my thought is that this is going to be where we need to look at. Simple as that. So on the weekly time frame, everything that comes after this, everything that comes after that higher high, let's maybe change that color, make it pretty pink. That is all chop and mess area. Things get really hard for traders. And traders make mistakes, me including. And I'll explain to you guys this. And the way that I want to explain this to you guys is, if you look at the price of Bitcoin, it's constantly going up. But if you look at the open interest, the aggregated open interest, basically the amount of leverage money in the exchange, that's going down. Now, why is that? If this is so bullish, and I mean, yes, we do get these flushes, these liquidations when they move down. Why is that? It's because at this stage, because of the nature of where we are within the markets. Let me just bring back this chart. The nature of where we are in the market at this stage. It's extremely hard for traders, leverage traders, to be profitable. This is my results now. I was coming off a 90% success rate for the month. Okay, and then I started failing. Just doesn't want to work, guys. I'm not making money as a leverage trader. Getting knocked out every time. We'll take a setup. I'll double check it, triple check it, and then from that point onwards, it still fails. It's bullshit. But that's the reality of what we are. So if we move back to this area here, and I know you want to watch alts, guys. I might be going off topic in a sense, but it's important that you know this information. When we were here the last time, I wasn't making money either. Your leverage trades and your aggressive trading fails because of the nature of the market. So we're sitting in that same situation. So the real trend is going to come in again, and then it's going to start picking up, and then that's going to change as well. So the cyclical side of things tells me that where we are now with Bitcoin is it is trying to find a top. It doesn't necessarily have one yet. It's trying to find a top. And we do have a target. Now, what do we have to confirm this target? We've got our CME chart. Let me quickly bring up the CME chart real quick. Where did I hide this chart for myself? Now, the CME is a nice roadmap chart, guys. So when we have these CME gaps, we know that price will eventually go back there. CME gap, price goes. And once it reaches it, it starts getting choppy. It starts getting hard to make money, okay? Then creates new gaps. There was a gap there. It filled the gap. That was on a lower time frame, though, but it did fill it, and that's where it created that wick where I said where wicks get filled. And it does do this. So it gives you a nice higher time frame area of confluence, and it helps you to understand that you just need to be patient. Sometimes it feels like the market's running away without you. So you want to chase it. You want to get in on this. And this tells you that you can be patient. It comes at the price of risk because there's no guarantee that it's going to fill it now. It can take years to fill it. I mean, there was a gap there. We were hoping it's going to go there, and it kept on going lower. So it just gives you a little bit of a roadmap of potential where. Now this thing can keep on giving us this bearish signal. But this is the first time now that it's done this. Let's quickly look at this. I'm going to switch to a line tool. So when you have bearish divergence, and we're looking at strong, which is a reversal divergence, bearish divergence, which means price must make a higher high, but your RSI goes in the opposite direction. So when you look at that, and I've switched Bitcoin, this is Bitcoin the daily, to a line tool, just so that you can track this. And maybe what I can do is I can even take that line and just make it white as well, so that you can maybe see it a little bit clearer. I've been checking and seeing that some of my, let me just bring that line back before I do it. Some of my lines, my colors, although it's nice and bright for me, is a bit harder for you guys to see. So there you go. So there's a pivot, there's a pivot. So let's mark them out real quick. And I'm going to take my time with this, guys, because this is ultimately what you're going to need to do to get out at the top. Because come the next stop of the bull cycle, 2 years from now, when we're all rich and we're celebrating and tapping ourselves on the back and saying, you're a genius, and you saying, I'm a genius, and you know, that time, divergence is what's going to point out to us to actually say, okay, well, thanks for being a genius. Now you need to get out. Everybody thought in the previous bull cycle that they'll be able to get out at the top, and they didn't. So everything basically stays the same. It's just a rhythm that changes. So learning how to use this is going to be your tool to being able to get out at the top. So you have your divergence. There's the pivots, lower low. You don't act on it by itself because it's a false signal. But once you trade below the critical area, that's when it really starts taking effect. Okay. So what did we do? We didn't. Then we had the second one. Last week's divergence. What happened? We didn't trade below it. But look at the latest one, guys. We are trading below it. Okay? So the dip is coming. Whether you like it or not, whether you agree with me or not, the dip is coming. Bearish signal in. Now let's take this and go to Solana real quick. Let's quickly get to Solana. So we've got our Bitcoin on the daily time frame saying to us, bearish signal. It's busy rallying up to the upside. So let's switch the candles on. But what is this? This is a big bullish engulfing candle, okay? So all this downside got engulfed in one foul sweep, and now this is being engulfed again. So if I were to take this to a smaller time frame, let's just quickly, before we move in everything, let's just have a look at what this 4 hour is saying to us. So the 4 hour is saying to us that from this point of view, the bulls are still intact. They still have the ball. So I would not be surprised if by the end of the week, we even go higher, irrespective of that divergence. That's me. And that's, I think, the sentiment that I want to leave when we go to the alts real quick. So now let me quickly find my alt chart. So if we take this onto the daily time frame and we bring back our friend, the RSI, where is my RSI? What it is showing us now, and this is the same now for Bitcoin. I'm going to go to the line tool just so that you can follow this a little bit easier. It's saying to us, there's bearish divergence, strong bearish divergence, trend reversal bearish divergence, but it means nothing at the moment. Why? Because we're holding 56. As long as we hold $56 for Solana, there's nothing bearish about this. This is actually a really good area to buy for another higher high. Knowing that, I don't want you guys to just randomly go and apeshit because somebody on YouTube told you, but knowing that we can still grind up in a very volatile, choppy way. And when we lose these levels, that's when that head and shoulders pattern come in and those things. That's normally top patterns, trend reversals. We don't have any of that yet. Now, let's say I go to bed, you go to bed, you wake up tomorrow morning and Solana is there. This is the risk that you take if you buy now. There's always going to be risk, whether you buy there or there. So you don't need to bullshit yourself. I need to wait for a lot. If it's there, that divergence is playing out. And then you need to make a decision whether you want to hold for longer. Is they wait too late to act on risk. Because it was just as scary there as it's going to be scary to buy here. No difference. Yeah, the difference is here it's costing more. Now there. So yeah, it's risk. It's still going to go potentially higher, but for how long? Okay, so you need to decide that risk. Let's move on. Let's quickly move on to Matic. So that being said, Bitcoin is flashing bearish signal. Means nothing because we haven't lost. Well, we've lost on the daily, but the weekly is still fine. Remember, the weekly is where we want to be. So these bearish signals can potentially make the environment for the buy zone. So this is where we wanted to buy Matic. So Matic on the breakout, this is a continuation of momentum buy. So you're buying Matic here with the goal that it does this. It keeps on holding this trend line. There it is at now. It's at that point. So your risk to entry on Matic is very low, because if Matic starts trading here, then you were wrong. Then you vacate your position. Or we're at the TP from Link and we're doing what? Nothing. It's not telling me it's over. However, what it is needing to do, or what does it need to do, is just track some momentum. That's all that it's trying to do, is just track some momentum. Now, if we break this in the next weekend, this weekend's going to be pivotal. If we break this and we start doing this, yes, Link's going to move down. But it's still then going to try and create some sort of a bearish sentiment. And remember, this is spot buys. This is not leverage buys. I'm not giving you 10x buys here. This is how you manage a spot entry, because you own the thing. Your margin for error is so much bigger because you physically own the thing. Nobody's going to come take away your link if you buy it on the wrong time. Leverage, you don't trade like this. This is not a way to trade leverage. You're going to get wrecked. This one looks like it's giving bearish divergence, but as soon as you bring over the line tool, you can see, well, what do we have? Between this, we don't have any divergence, but we're still fighting the original divergence that's there. So are we staying above it? Yes, potentially. So for me, anything around this area is still a continuation of momentum. That's what it's saying to me. There's a lot of uncertainty. That's why you get these wicks, but the wicks are okay. Wicks is still your friend. All you need to do is just understand that retail is going to abandon Cardano. Remember, everybody wants to buy low, but as soon as you talk about the guys that's going to buy low, they're not going to think this is low anymore if it's here. That's all. And you need them to still buy after you. That's how you make money. Some sucker needs to come buy it after you. So these lines is typically what suckers are going to be looking at. So it's okay then. Understand that that's a brilliant tool to use. Okay. DigiByte's now in the buy zone. What did I say? What do I looked at? I said, guys, look at all this down bearish momentum. And I said, wait for DigiByte to come down here. It's there now. So now's the time to buy some DigiByte. Could be in B, guys. There's the updated buy zone from last week. This was where the original ones was. There's the updated one. We're going to continue on. Yes, this RSI is doing something different, but if you look at this from a line perspective, all is still fine. A lower low in the RSI is actually brilliant. You know why? Because if you look at these pivots here, and you look at those areas there, and you look at this, and you look at there, let me just quickly show you something interesting. And this is what a lot of people don't understand. Your continuation of trend divergence is when price makes higher lows, but the oscillator goes in the opposite direction. You're not going to get this hidden bearish, bullish divergence at the bottom of an RSI. You're going to get it at the top of the RSI. This never happens at the bottom of the RSI. So if I'm going to go back to this, there's your hidden bullish divergence. It's hidden because it looks bearish. So you've got an opportunity to grab it. You don't need to hold it down that far anymore because now guess what? We've got a new lateral range. You can reduce the risk. You can now say, I don't want it to see trading there, okay? If it's there, then it's going to go down. Then just be okay with it and understand that you need to decide whether you want to hold it or whether you want to reduce some, sell some to have cash to buy lower again. Okay, that spot, you own the bloody thing. Nobody can take it away from you. Come next top bull cycle, then you're going to forget about a stupid, foolish decision that you made because there's still so much more. Okay, Uni. Now I like Uni. Uni is now doing what I don't want it to do. You can see now it's breaking that momentum. Do I now shift the line? Well, there's a lot of momentum, so the speed is high. Maybe the momentum has just slowed down a little bit. Uni is, after all, at a top area. So would I be comfortable adding to a Uni that's breaking lines? No. I'm just waiting. So if you don't have Uni, just wait a little bit. Wait for it to prove itself, and then you can have another attempt at it. Or come back 50% of the candle. That makes the higher high. There's the buy. Bitcoin Cash. So it played out nicely. So now the big question is where we are now. Go to the comments real thought. See Phil and Phantoms also. The Litecoin community doesn't. Yes, it does feel like that, guys. But okay, let's quickly have a look at this. So now we got our buy. So simple. This is demand. This is demand. So the thought is simple. Now, if we start trading there, this demand is gone. I don't want to see that happen. Retail is going to look at this and say, okay, maybe these are manipulation wicks. So from a retail point of view, maybe what I need to do is just shift my line. Or somebody that's looking at it from a new point of view can say, well, maybe I just drew the line wrong and that's the line. There's nothing wrong with thinking that way. That's our advantage. So this thing grinds and chops and sits in this area. But pivotally or critically, you see these areas here, support and resistance wise. We want to stay above the red line. That's all we want to do. And as long as we do that, I'm going to switch to the weekly time frame for Bitcoin Cash again. It needs to go make a higher high. Whether there's going to be divergence or not, I don't know. That's what I'm waiting for. I am taking the risk, and it's on you to decide whether you want to take the risk with me. We are frenemies, not enemies. There's the signal for Rune real quick, guys. Do you want to trade something that's got momentum? Rune, it's got momentum. So all the guys that's out there that's saying get your Rune, Rune is pumping. It's a good time because yes, there's divergence. So scare traders are going to ignore this one. You now know what you need to look for. Wait for that RSI to go below that point, guys. Poop, hidden bullish divergence, my friends. This thing still wants to go. Okay. So, Filecoin, there we go. Let's zoom out. Get the daily real quick. Same thing as everything else. Look at where File is at now. People are looking at this and saying to themselves, okay, File has now done what? Broken original momentum. Let's bring in some support resistance levels. BNB and all those coins. I'm waiting for that, for those coins. File is above it. So anything momentum related now is your friend. Trade with the momentum. Do we have divergence? Simple way to look at it. Higher high, lower high. Yes. Did we fall below the pivot? Yes. Are we at the bottom of a lateral range? Yes. Is this where we're allowed to be bullish? Yes. So if you look at Filecoin, you want to dive into maybe a 4-hour or a 1-hour time frame to try and trade this, now's the time to be bullish. Look at Filecoin here, guys. Low, lower low, low, higher low. What is that? It's a trend reversal, strong bullish divergence. So Filecoin is telling you here that this correction, it's trying to turn it around. The bulls are trying to turn it around, or the buyers are trying to turn it around. That's what it's saying to you. So the risk is then clearly defined. You know that there's an attempt to try and get it to turn around. You just need to finally lay out where you want to draw the line on trying to get in on this. Because if it does, let's go back to the weekly. There's still so much that this thing can do. Okay, weekly time frame, look at where we are with this. Okay, so from a Wyckoff point of view, Phantom had its move. It lost it, fell back in that lateral range, back at resistance, guys. This thing has been accumulating for long. So that was wait for the weekly to act back then when we broke that, okay? So think about this one. Okay, you want to make some good money? There's 200%. Easy. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy, guys. It's completely different. One candle can change the outlook of these things. But ultimately, look at this momentum. You want to track the momentum, you trade with the momentum. Phantom has it. And the beauty about this is, as soon as we get above these areas here, as soon as we get about 40 cents, guys, the door to $1.13 is going to be as swiftly opened as the door for Solana was. Let's go to the Solana. Once we got above the Solana levels. Once we got about $31, the door to 40 went quick. And now the door to 80 probably just needed to stay there and scroll up. That's how quickly things can happen. Okay. Is getting to the point where the risk is now being taken. People are feeling comfortable taking risk. That's what the Dixie's telling you. Now, if this trend takes over and starts getting some real big momentum behind it, think about the possibilities. If we take this Dixie to the monthly thing, think about the possibilities. Look at the monthly Dixie uptrend. I just want to show this to you guys, okay? Look at this big Dixie uptrend. This is now from 08. Bitcoin founded 09. This whole move had crypto behind it. Crypto developed while the dollar was still trending up. Think what will happen to a baby. Crypto markets are so small. If this Dixie finally decides to do what? Bearishly engulf these candles and break this trend. Guys, thanks to each and every one of you guys. As always, keep hustling, and I'll see you again on Monday. Cheers, everybody.